Season 1, Episode 11. The COVID Special.
Take 38 apparently. Because we were actually doing a different good morning everybody, good
morning,
afternoon,
everybody.
good evening, whatever your pleasure. Yes, we were doing one before, but we scrapped it, and then I mysteriously took ill. Well, there was no mystery
There's
to
no
it.
mystery, he got COVID.
I got COVID yet again. Again.
This is COVID times...
COVID times 4.
COVID times 4.
Yeah.
Well done.
3 definitively, with lots of tests behind it. One where
One
I
spurious.
just... One right at the beginning where clearly I had it because all my taste and smell and various other things happened to me. But they were very, very mild and only lasted a few days. So
For all the
here we
millions
go.
of viewers who missed us over the past few weeks, this is why.
Couple of weeks, isn't it? Yeah, couple of weeks has it been, more or less.
Yeah, just about 2 weeks.
Más o menos, as they say in Espanol.
Has everybody missed us?
Have
Has
all 4 of you missed us?
Does anybody care?
No, it mustn't be like that. These things take time. So yes, we thought I thought we'd have a talk today about an update on COVID because it's kind of disappeared off the radar.
And how irresponsible you are for constantly getting COVID. And how many people must you have infected over the past year and a half?
Oh, look, this is the bizarre thing. I'm fully vaxxed.
Cautious, apparently.
Ultra cautious. I go to the supermarket and have done throughout this whole debacle. First thing in the morning when it's empty.
And he licks the boxes off the freezer off. There's got to be a reason why you're getting COVID.
Right, I go in, I'm masked up. I go in when the supermarket's empty, generally.
You touch up all the fruit and veg.
And it's that odd occasion where you have to be in a place. I mean, let's face it, all the care I took before, during the first phase of COVID, and I had to get my car MOT'd in before January 2021. And they weren't quite ready with the car, and that's where I think I caught the COVID at the garage collecting the motor.
It sounds right, because you said that the other person waiting was coughing and sputtering.
Yeah, the garage owner.
Oh, the owner.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, you can take all these precautions, and it's a bit of a split-second thing. As Mel sits there, utterly paranoid that I've still got it. And there's no reason, because the virus is dead. What I will say...
COVID is definitely out there.
COVID, definitely, it's not gone away.
Hasn't gone away, even though it's not in the news.
Last Wednesday, there were 304,000 new cases.
Is that the highest ever, or no?
I think it broke a record, yes.
It sounds like very high
300,000 cases
and
in
thankfully,
one day.
Fatalities side, very low.
Fatality, well, it's still too high. It's still running even at today's numbers, at over 50,000 people a year. So where is there an acceptable number? You know, what is an acceptable number of fatalities that we somehow suddenly then don't care about it?
There's like an insurance actuary
that's
figuring out the numbers of
what's
exactly
that sort of
yeah.
line? The happy line and the line that starts to say, hang on a minute, our government is letting us down line. Well, but not that they haven't let us down on a lot of other things.
Here we go. Conservative bashing.
Yeah, well, yes, somebody needs to bash the fucking useless people.
That's right, they've paid their £50 fine, everything's alright.
Before you go down that road, it turns out there are 6 fines between him and Sunak this morning. It's all over Twitter.
So £150 worth of fines each.
So they've lied yet again because they said there was only 1 fine each.
There's 3 each.
But it looks as though there's 6 between them. So how that's divided, whether it's an even split. But the point is they've lied yet again.
Yeah, I think
yet again.
Should be expected by now, right?
So I'm
that
sorry.
We get lied to, and that's just the way it is.
No, they need to go. They are scum.
Oh.
There's not. No, it's not good. It's not good. Sorry, Boris, but you are. I'm going to call it as I say it. You are letting the country down. You are letting our democracy down because all you had to do right at the beginning was own it, and you couldn't.
Simon's
and that's
calling
the
you.
problem with everything you do. You won't own it.
Simon's calling you a scumbag. I'm not.
So there we go.
Just to make that clear.
Yes, he thinks the sun shines
No,
out
no,
of the proverbial
no, I
bottom.
don't.
Not
I
quite
don't.
in the same colour as his lovely top today. I like this top, by the way.
Bring a
Great.
bit of sunshine.
Bringing a bit of sunshine to the table. So anyway, yes, let's get back to so where is that acceptable line in terms of numbers? I think the week before there was at one point was 4.9 million people who'd had it in the previous
You're saying
several
it's 1 in
weeks.
12 or 1 in 11.
Well, it got
It
below
had
that
it
at one-
within a month
Yes.
or so, right?
Yeah. So and of course it's causing huge problems with the supply chains.
Yeah.
Huge problems, all over the place. To be fair, and so yeah, I thought we'd have a little bit of a special vis-a-vis having now
that Simon
survived the fall.
Simon has some more first-hand experience.
Yeah, what I will say, the vaccine does work, because although it doesn't work to quell the symptoms.
So what does it work?
So in other words, you still get fucking hideously ill. I mean, let's be about right. You're still starting to, it starts with the scratchy throat. By all account, I think it was some form of Omicron. The scratchy throat, but then you lose the taste and smell, and you have the cough and the fever, and then you have the head cold from hell. But
I thought the head cold came first.
No. The head cold comes sort of about no more than about 12 hours in.
But then
Starts with the sore throat.
But within 6 days you were better, or on your way to being better.
No, on day 5 I felt better, whereas normally on day 4 I felt.
The first few days I called you, you sounded horrible, and you even told me you felt rough.
I felt rotten.
Yeah.
My voice had gone. Day 3 I kind of didn't feel quite as bad. Day 4 I felt worse. Day 5 I felt better, so that kind of you get better, get worse, get better again, sort of routine.
But you're still sort of teetering on the edge of it could get worse, or
this is it, because you're only in day 5 and you think, where is this going?
Yeah.
Is there more to come? Because previously it had lasted. The cycle was anything between 10 days and 14 days.
Then you get that second wave, don't you?
On day 7.
Yeah.
Well, the second wave comes on about day 4, and then day 6. Day 5 I felt a little better than, we turn the corner here, or is this another wave? And then day 6 I woke up and it had gone. Well, and I was testing negative again. And tested negative every day since. Because obviously what I wanted to do before I resumed my normal activities, exercise and the like.
Can we take a quick moment then to say, glad that you're better? Because we can't really have a Simon report without the Simon.
Yeah, well, it's no good if I'm dead, isn't it?
It will just be the report.
The pushing up Daisy's report.
Just the report.
Yeah, just the report.
You could just like scratch.
Well, they read me the
just like strike your name through and just be like that report.
Yeah, it's just a bit wearing. But the vaccine, what it does do is it lessens the whole time span.
Don't have any sort of brain fog or aches and pains or fatigue, none of that?
No, excuse me, what's my name? No, not at all. No. No brain fog whatsoever once I'd got rid of it.
Nothing more than usual.
The fatigue, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, I did a big workout yesterday, so yesterday afternoon, I probably felt normally how I would feel after doing legs. Leggy workout. So no, I mean, legs really does take it out of you. And let's be, I'm not a youngster, so to be fair, I'm back up at doing the same level of exercise and training, as before. So yeah, great. I'm good. So since obviously, while it was all going on, they added some new symptoms to the list.
Yeah.
or rather updated the list. And it's funny, you know, you go online, you used to get much more information with regard to COVID, and it is
additional
now
9.
it's now 9 new symptoms added to the list. So, so you've got the shortness of breath, the feeling tired or exhausted, the aching body, the headache, the sore throat, the blocked or runny nose. Let me tell you, blocked or runny isn't the half of it. The sneezing fits. I mean, I've had sneezing fits and I've had sneezing fits, but I tell you, this bout of COVID, sneezing fits from hell. You sneeze 4 sneezes in one go. Yeah, it really is. And I put my back out. Just to add insult to injury, or injury to insult, I put my back out in one of the sneezing fits.
I guess it's possible.
And
it's the force of a pistol.
Well,
when you
yes, we normally expect to sneeze, but they hit you. With this particular Omicron, they hit you with such ferocity and without warning that by the time you're on the 4th sort of part of the one giant multiple sneeze, you're on your knees because it really sort of.
It's a good thing you keep your eyes closed, otherwise your eyeballs will pop out.
Really?
Apparently. It's the reason why you close your eyes.
You close your eyes automatically, don't you? I guess so, yeah.
Because if you don't, apparently the force in a sneeze would pop your eye out, pop your eyeball out of your socket.
Wow.
That'd be a good look.
Not clever.
Imagine having to go to hospital for that.
Or trying to put it back in yourself.
But would you?
Would you go to a hospital?
Or would you be too terrified?
To go to hospital? I don't know.
If an eyeball popped out of your head,
yeah,
would you put it back in? Would you try to put it back in? Would you be so horrified at the situation that you'd call an ambulance?
I'd be passed out on the floor.
Well, yeah, me too. That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, that's about right. I'd be passed out. I'd be out, spark out.
With your eyeball lying next to you.
With my eyeball, yeah, exactly.
That would be horrific.
You know,
may that never happen to anybody.
I'd be screaming my tits off, basically. As I did, when I got knifed years and years ago, and I looked at, I was fine until they got me into the toilet.
That's the adrenaline, right?
And I looked in the mirror and I saw my face, and I screamed, so I was mortified, mate, mortified. So anyway, yeah.
Being stabbed to do that, though, I guess.
Well, funnily enough, the adrenaline, you're right, the adrenaline kicks in. I was only aware of the one stab wound. And what I wasn't aware of was the stab wound that was far worse. Wasn't even aware of that for a full 5-10 minutes.
Maybe that's a good thing.
Until suddenly I felt the pain in the lower back. But anyway, there you go. So yes, they've added the aching body, headache, the sore throat, the blocked or runny nose, loss of appetite. Well, the loss of appetite comes from the loss of taste and smell, really.
So no desire to eat.
I didn't really not have the desire to eat.
But you'd feel hungry. But you'd feel hungry, though, wouldn't you?
Yes, I did feel hungry. The loss of appetite. I didn't have loss of appetite. I had loss of desire to eat because everything didn't taste of anything. Everything's metallic in flavour. One of the other symptoms I've added to it is diarrhea. Well, I've always had diarrhea of the mouth, so.
Yeah, I know people get stomach issues, don't they?
Yes, I've had that. I had that in the last. Feeling sick or being sick. So I had none of those. But that's now part of the new...
Nausea, basically.
Yes, part of the new symptoms.
Why don't they just call it nausea?
Or
did you paraphrase?
No. Most people, this is how I actually...
That's what the language they use.
Yes, I think probably because a lot of people don't understand what nausea means.
Right. Digressing.
Yeah.
Society's digression.
So... and of course, we've got no legal requirements now in England.
Don't you still have to wear your mask on public transport, or is that also gone?
It's all gone. It's gone. It's voluntary.
Was it so
Voluntary.
you should do, but it's not mandatory, kind of?
Yeah, I think there's yes.
So what
They
about-
ask you to do when you visit the hospital.
Okay. What
You're
about
still
going?
going down that route.
What about going on an airplane? Do they still ask you to put a mask on for that?
Funnily enough, I've just booked a holiday.
Oh, we'll find
Yippee-do.
out. We'll find out soon.
And the airline I'm travelling with, they advise face masks. I will be required to wear a face mask on arrival at the other airport. It's important to understand what face masks you can wear. So, if you are travelling, do check your itineraries.
The M85s or whatever they're called. The M95s.
FP2s.
So they won't necessarily be provided on the other side. You have to make sure you have.
Yes, you have to make sure you've got your masks, because when you arrive at the continental airport, depending on where you're going, there'll be a requirement to wear a mask. Balaclavas, scarves, and the like, and make do's don't count. Various airlines.
Any excuse to turn an Englishman back home.
Exactly.
They'll send you back at any excuse, so make sure you're prepared.
Hang on a minute. It's Priti Patel who seems to be running the hostile environment policy here. At
That's
the moment,
right. She
isn't
plans on sending them all to Rwanda. Perfect.
Yeah, she sent herself to Rwanda.
I wonder what Rwanda's like now.
I don't know. I want to know if Jonathan Ross can actually say the name.
Probably not. Don't.
Because he has a problem with his W's.
Don't.
Well, no, his R's, not his W's. And it's...
Don't get personal, Simon, please.
Well, I was just wondering, because there's an R and a W at the front end of the word, so, I mean, it's a tad confusing. But anyway. So, yes, they've got... You don't... the airlines do advise you to wear. Different airlines have different rules. I think the airline I'm flying with has no rule to wear the face mask on the plane. However, having had COVID 4 times, my advice to everybody is still mask up when you go to the supermarket, as I still do. And when you get on the plane. You don't want to get to your holiday destination, be on the beach the first day, and start feeling that scratchiness in the throat, and know that the next 5 or 6 days of your holiday is ruined. There's no point. So, there is absolute common sense in applying some common sense, irrespective of the lack of rules that might be about. So I think when I wrote this bit, which was when I was down with the bug, there was 1 in 12 people had COVID the week before, so a fortnight ago, roughly. There was 1 in 12, and at one point that dropped to even less than that.
Just about 8-9 million people, more or less.
Yes, but you've only got to extrapolate and that look now at where the vaccines are and everything else, and the kind of variant that there is. That's we're soon going to see the back of this. And even countries that have applied a greater...
China doesn't seem to agree with you because they're locking down entire cities at the moment.
Yeah, well, of course, there's a bit of an uprising, isn't there, in Shanghai?
Things aren't looking very good.
They're starting to bulk against their
There's only so
leaders.
There's only so long that you can keep yourself detained without fresh food and water, or the ability to actually go out and get some fresh air, even for an hour or so. It's getting to, I think even the Chinese authorities have realised that they've taken things a little bit too far, and they sort of step back the imposition of rules that they've applied.
Well, if there's one thing we've understood from the lockdowns and from everything else, is that one thing's having restrictions or common sense restrictions. Having full-on lockdowns just delays the inevitable. It might help to take the worst of the issues out for things like the NHS, but the bottom line is, in the end, the virus has its way, and particularly Omicron, which is highly transmissible, of course. I would say that the biggest issue of Omicron is the economic impact, while there's been millions of people off work, and the effect it's had on things like airlines and
Well, and
Totally.
it must affect inflation, obviously, because if you have supply that's being curtailed, then obviously whatever existing supply is only going to become more expensive. So there's, inflation on inflation on inflation, which is just causing people further misery.
Yes, but there's no sign that this inflation is necessarily transitory. Oh, there's a word.
What do you mean by transitory?
Transitory, in other words, just sort of transient, temporary.
Well, all inflation is temporary, isn't it? More or less.
Well, yes, but
not our currency. That's one thing.
it doesn't feel as though it's as temporary as it should be.
We'll see. It definitely feels like this is a longer term.
We will see. We
issue.
will see.
We'll see.
So you've got. I see. I did note actually. Fun enough here. They've only just ended the legal requirement to wear face coverings in places of worship and while attending marriage and funeral services in Scotland.
No one goes to church anyway, so that's hardly a big deal.
Well, yeah, they go to funerals
yeah, okay.
and weddings.
Yeah. Weddings are down by half, unless they're divorce parties, because divorces are up. This is all sort of neither here nor there, is it?
The divorce should be made easier and marriage more difficult. Maybe people have been more.
Shouldn't it be the other way around?
No, because if the people thought more about before they got into the thing of marriage.
Do you know what they should do? I have a better idea. Divorce should be illegal.
Illegal.
Make divorce illegal.
Then the murder rate goes up.
So if you enter into a marriage, you have to be 100% certain that that's the person that you want to be with for life. And if you're even a tinsy bit not sure, don't go for it.
Well, you should be anyway. You should be.
We could solve so many issues if we put this in front of Parliament. Make divorce illegal. Anyone that chooses to get divorced must spend 6 months in prison.
We're on point,
both sides.
Aren't we?
Both sides. Both sides have to spend 6 months in prison.
6 months in prison.
Mandatory.
For failing to stick to their marriage vows.
Yeah. Regardless of who's at fault. Both sides have to go jail.
Right. Okay. I don't.
You would resolve so many marital issues that way because people wouldn't want to risk 6 months in jail, and the consequences that all that would.
No, they just end up murdering one another.
That's fine.
It's nice to see we're on subject, isn't it? Give them COVID.
Maybe we can discuss this another day. But I think that's an interesting. I think that's a good idea.
It's an interesting
divorce penalty.
Yeah, a divorce
or a fight to the death. Well,
I think just asked Johnny Depp and what's her name? Amber Heard was her name.
Please let's not talk about that because I'll really go down a rabbit hole with that one. That's for another day.
Yes, that is. Dare I ask whose side you're on? Not even an inkling.
No. I'm happy to have a full-blown discussion on this.
Yeah.
But let's do that another day.
Yes. Well,
we can add it to the list, please.
So, we now, of course, as you know, there's no more free lateral flow tests.
That's right.
I'm pleased to say that thank you NHS England for having kept sending us boxes of the bloody things. They've actually proved very useful in the last couple of weeks. I'm holding Britain's entire stockpile of lateral flow tests, as it turns out, or at least free ones.
Yeah, we've still got a couple.
Yeah, no, well, I've still got about 10.
10 boxes?
No, 10 tests.
All right, okay.
10, 12, maybe 12.
Well, how much are they going for now if you want to buy them?
I don't know.
That's the other question.
I don't know. Maybe I'll. Should I eBay them? You think? So.
You could do. You might get a lot of hate comments after this, though.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Especially if you charge like £50 a box. You're like.
Now we're going to need them, aren't we? For ready for just before we go away. I want to make sure that you know, clear.
There's no
before I head to
requirement. There's no requirement to do. On the subject of travel, there's no need to do like your 48-hour
No,
test.
not coming back. No 48-hour test.
But
It's
going outward.
Well, outward is important to look at each and every individual country. In other words, wherever you're travelling to, keep up to date for the last minute.
So they might have their
changes.
own requirements.
Largely for places like Spain, Canaries,
Like Europe,
and what have you, it's if you're fully vaccinated and you've had the booster within 297 days, is it?
I think if you don't have the booster, if you don't have the booster, it's 6 months from your last.
Yes.
6 months from your last vaccine. With the booster, it's longer, but I'm not exactly sure.
Yes, I'm sure it's 297 days, something like that.
Which is then 9 months.
Yes, from your booster.
From the date, yeah.
And that means then you don't require. Obviously you've got to get your NHS app, download and print off, or use your app. I like to print off but they are dated.
You don't do tech, that's right.
Well, no, I do. I remember standing in the queue at Mykonos Airport, and some chap says to me, and he says, "Oh, I see you've got paper tickets." I went, "Yes." I said, technology, I could have it on my mobile phone, get to the front of this almighty long queue, and he's telling me, you see, he's got all his, all on his phone, you see. I said, well, by the time I get to this front of the queue, you might have run out of battery. And he suddenly looks and goes into an almighty panic, realising that he is actually running out of battery. So that's why I print it off. But they are dated, so you do have to print them off at the right point for them to be valid. So for my trip, I'll need to print them off a little closer to the trip.
Okay, gotcha.
Because otherwise the QR code that's on them only has a certain...
The QR code isn't dated.
No, it has a certain validity period and then it updates. Seriously.
Really?
Seriously. Yes. Yes.
So the QR code itself changes every once in a while?
QR code will change because it will give you a validity date for that particular vaccine certificate. Whereas if you had it on your app and just used your phone, and don't get me wrong, I will have it on there.
But it automatically updates.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I will have a printed copy because, you never know when that moment comes. You drop your phone, goes into a million pieces, something happens.
That had only happened. That had only happened to you.
Well, there you go.
You'd drop it, it would go down a drain. It would end up in Southend or somewhere random. And then that would be your holiday ruined.
Do you remember when I was sharing that flat? Mel and I, of course, we were in a state agency at one point. Don't hold that against us, please. We were decent and nice and affable with our clients. And I was showing a particular property and dropped a set of keys down a manhole. Just as the viewer was coming towards me. And obviously,
how did you fix that one?
Well, I had to ring the owner of the property up and apologise.
Tell her to get her head down the manhole.
I've had a little bit of an accident with your keys. They went down a drain cover, never to be seen again. But there you go. Anyway, I digress. So you've got to make sure, you got all your bits and pieces. So there are different rules for different countries, and they can change at any minute. But I'm hoping that, and of course, there's different requirements in different places for wearing masks while you're there. But I think it seems to be generally that it's easing up.
Looks like it.
So I think everybody's accepted that this Omicron variant is getting more bearable. I noticed when I went onto the BBC website, BBC Berating Time, that the last time the COVID restrictions were updated on, information was updated, was on the 26th of January, 10:15 Greenwich Mean Time. not been updated on the BBC website since the 26th of January.
Because they've got no more money. There's no one available to do it anymore.
The average number of cases per day in the week running up to the 1st of April, granted that's now where we're
2 weeks away. Yep.
2 weeks away, but obviously I was flat out at one point, was 75,000 per day. The average number of deaths per day over that period was 225. So
that's quite significant, right?
So,
it's not a small amount, it's a decent amount of people.
It's a decent amount.
I didn't mean that. Could have been better.
You'd have been happy with a few more.
No, hold on. As a proportion to the people who've infected, that's actually not.
It is much better.
It's better than previous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. So, a lot of the weak, fragile people have already been seen off by the bloody thing.
Yeah. Pre-existing conditions and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly. There's less people to go at because they were killed
They've
off in
been
round
wiped
1
off
and
the planet.
2.
No.
Yeah, and as we know in the first wave, a lot of them in the care homes, or really they should be called the I don't give a toss homes, rather than care homes. It's the I don't care homes.
I have to agree with you at a certain point with that. I have to agree with you to a certain point.
Well, it was pretty. I mean, honestly.
But then you also have to understand both sides. You mean, I know, sort of, the welfare of the residents is important, but to sort of keep them away from family seems particularly brutal, regardless of what was going on at the time.
Well, that's the thing.
Because then surely there has to be some kind of individual responsibility that you have to take into account. So if an elderly person says, I'm willing to take the risk of seeing my son or daughter, and if I get it, I get it. I take responsibility. I will isolate in my room, and whatever happens. Let that be their choice. Don't make a sort of all-encompassing decision and say we are locking down the facility, and you're lucky if you can see your family through the window for 5 minutes. It's cruel. They're already in a quite unfortunate situation anyway. Sort of.
Oh, I don't. God forbid. I don't want to end up in a care home.
But your emotional state
my
is
only
as important.
friend being an orange cord hanging from the ceiling. Fuck that.
Why no? Oh, like a help.
Yes, they pull the cord.
Usually that's in the bathroom, though, isn't it?
No, it's in every room.
Really?
Yes, unfortunately.
I don't remember that with my uncle.
Well, no, I remember it with my auntie.
Really?
Yeah, and she didn't require one, but she lived in one of those your own apartment.
Yeah,
but,
my uncle did.
But nevertheless, everywhere you looked, there was one of these fucking orange cords.
The orange cord of sadness.
In the end, when she died of a heart attack at the tender age of 89, and it was quite sudden, she was nowhere near the orange cord. So
that is so out of order.
So it didn't
Maybe she couldn't get to it.
Well,
how many cords do you want in a room?
Up until that moment,
maybe they
she
should
was
put a cord.
fine.
Maybe they should put a cord every metre.
She said it was the way she wanted to go. She didn't want to be like her mother, a dribbling wreck in nappies. And I can get that. I don't want to either. That's next week, folks. It's just it's a sobering thought, isn't it? I don't want to. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be sitting in one of those fucking chairs where you press the button and it tips you out.
Yeah, tips you out.
I mean, really, they don't even look good, do they?
Well, you could jazz it up.
Pimp it.
Yeah.
PimpMyChair.com.
Pimp my seat.
Pimp my seat. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be in that situation. I could bear walking with a stick. I could do that.
Yeah,
hopefully not.
Or a Zimmer frame.
No, mate, no.
That's what my grandma had.
No. They're wrong. They're just wrong on every level.
Not wrong. It helped her walk, which is the point. Which is the point of it.
I don't know. It just no.
I don't mind devices to help me out, but I don't want to be I don't want to have to be dependent fully.
No, mate, no.
That seems a bit much.
You know, it's time to throw myself under the in the London Underground, under the Central Line.
No.
If it comes to the fact that I can't wipe my own arse, I'm sorry. I've got to be able to.
What about people that are trying to get to work? That's just an
Well,
inconvenience. How rude of you.
Well, you mean I thought you were going to say, can I ask one of them to do it? No. Well,
This is getting really dark.
I think it is a bit thoughtless.
This is getting really dark. Can we end this?
If you're thinking of ending it at all,
No,
anytime soon,
no.
please not on the railways or on the tubes. It's not fair to those who've got somewhere to go to.
Simon didn't mean that, and he doesn't. Simon didn't mean that. Let's end this before we get into
with
trouble.
British Rail being so good, or rather the rail companies, you can throw yourself on the line and be waiting there for hours and hours and hours on end before anything comes along at all. Anyway, so yeah, there we have it. We digressed again. COVID, yes, it's still out there. It's still going strong. Everybody does need to take care, irrespective of the rules. You know, because
and I think the point is, even though it's not being publicised in the media, it's definitely still out there.
Yeah.
Simon can attest he got ill, he was being careful, he got it anyway, and if he can get it, there are many more people out there that have probably got it as well. So everybody needs to still watch out.
It's become almost a source of embarrassment, you know, 4 times. And I have taken the most extraordinary care. But I don't bloody go anywhere. I'm starting to think there's a conspiracy.
We'll discuss that for Wasn't that one of our next topics anyway? Conspiracy theories and...
Somebody's trying to see me off. Is it Vladimir Putin? Has he taken umbrage? Because I noticed...
You specifically?
Well, I noticed today on my Hotmail account that in the junk file there's been a number of dubious, all come from Russia.
What, from the Russian Federation? Is it a particular government?
If it was because I was slagging off Putin in a previous podcast, it was unlikely he's been listening.
Very unlikely. Very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
I think he's got other things to do than to start harassing you.
Hello. Exactly.
If I come back next week and find you foaming at the mouth, we'll know what happened.
Yeah. I think what we'll start to do, I think I might go down the sort of Putin route of things. You know, so if you're in a future podcast, you see us at the opposite ends of a 40-metre table.
Yeah.
Man, are you all right down there? Yeah.
Where are we going to put a 40-metre table in here?
Well, that's a bit of an issue, isn't it?
We'll have to do a special outdoor.
We'll have to little dangle over it.
Yeah. Over the balcony.
It'll reach Bethnal Green. So yes, take care, folks. COVID is still out there.
Do we not have a thought for the day?
A thought for the day. Full enough, I didn't actually.
We haven't got one.
I didn't actually, but I did think I would use a great quote, one of my favourite quotes, that Orson Cart? No, that's a different thing. The great Oscar Wilde, I should say. Another OW, all become with OW. I was nearly there. You asked me earlier if I had brain fog. And I said, no, I didn't. Well, maybe I'll have to alter that answer. The great Oscar Wilde, who on his deathbed, so this is a great deathbed quote, so should you be on your way out and you want a good quote to leave the family and friends that are standing there by the bed, you know, hanging on every word that you might or might not say as you draw your final breaths, right? Oscar Wilde lay there, surrounded by all his friends, family, etc. And they were hanging on a great Oscar Wilde. You'd think, well, he's going to say something. He's going to say something really important. And his last words were, either the wallpaper goes, or I do.
Goodbye, everybody.